stream anytime, anywhere with the free PBS app.
It's been so widely imitated that today it almost looks ordinary.
This building is not like all those knockoffs.
In 1958, this sleek glass skyscraper was groundbreaking.
When it went up, the entire world noticed.
It was built by the Seagram Corporation as its U.S. headquarters. The corporate giant ended up with an avant-garde building because it let a young art student choose the architect.
To me, it wasn't a corporate headquarters. It was a skyscraper in New York.
Phyllis Lambert was just 27 when she learned that her father, Seagram president Samuel Bronfman, would build his headquarters on New York's posh Park Avenue.
I wouldn't have known anything about corporate headquarters, I can assure you that.
But she did know about architecture, and when Lambert saw the original design for the building, she was appalled. To this day, it's hard for her to even look at a picture of it.
Ooh. It is so upsetting to even look at it. My stomach sort of goes. I wrote my father a long, long letter, and the letter starts off, no, no, no.
While the original design would have looked right at home in pre-war America,
no.
Phyllis Lambert knew we had entered a new age. Architects were building skyscrapers without all the brick and stone and decoration that had covered steel frame buildings since Louis Sullivan's time. Instead, they were letting naked steel and transparent glass speak for themselves.
If you're going to build a building, then you do the best building as you can at the time. You do the best of your civilization.
Samuel Bronfman was convinced his daughter would choose the right architect for this new age. So Lambert set out across the country, meeting some of the great designers of the day. She says that most of them compared themselves to the German-born architect Mies van der Rohe. And when she met the man himself, she understood why.
He was so much more generous than all the other people. There was a kind of presence about that man.
But what ultimately sold her was Mies's work. He had envisioned glass skyscrapers all the way back in the early 1920s in Germany. Mies was part of a generation of European modernist architects who used the latest technology to confront the war and inequity that had plagued the continent.
You know, they came out of World War I, and they understood what caused World War I, this intense, insane nationalism. And Mies van der Rohe and his gang wanted to create a new international architectural language.
This international style became popular with corporate America for less idealistic reasons. It made a company look cutting edge and efficient. Plus, it could be cheap.
It was very inexpensive to build that way. It's repetitive form.
But when Mies van der Rohe met with Samuel Bronfman, he quickly learned that saving money was not on the agenda for the Seagram building.
Mies said to my father, "What kind of materials do you like?" And my father said he liked bronze.
So Mies covered the entire building in bronze.
And because he used bronze, he could create a finesse of details.
Mies said God is in the details, and it's the details that set this building apart, some designed by architect Philip Johnson. The materials include pale travertine, pink granite, and Verd antique marble.
This building is so subtle and yet so complex.
At first glance, it might seem as if you're seeing the bare bones of the building, but this is actually an illusion. Mies placed I-beams on the outside of the building, which serve little function.
It's a decorative facade, and the actual structure, the steel framing, is tucked behind it.
I see them. They're columns behind the glass windows.
But the most striking and expensive feature of this building is the huge empty space in front of it. This was Mies's surprising solution to New York's strict zoning code, which had long prevented skyscrapers from rising like sheer cliffs that block out the city's light and air. Other architects had responded to these rules with setback skyscrapers, which gradually receded from the street.
Well, Mies van der Rohe didn't want to design a setback building.
Instead, he left a pricey piece of New York real estate open as a kind of gift to the city.
That really shocked New York. You know how you shock New Yorkers? It's not with vulgarisms, just be polite to them. And they don't get it.
But architects and developers clearly did get it, because the nation soon saw a proliferation of modernist buildings set on broad plazas.
Everyone said, oh, that's so nice, the Seagram building has that plaza. Everyone loves it. Let's have plazas everywhere. And gee, funny thing, none of them were as good. And in fact, a lot of them were really horrible. They were awful, ugly, concrete prison yards.
And the skyscrapers themselves could never quite recreate the magic of the Seagram building.
It looks easy to copy. I can just do one floor and stack them up, and every single one of them is the same from there on. How hard can this be? Well, how hard is it to get your proportions correct? How hard is it to choose the right materials? How hard is it to make the proper relationship between a building and its site? You're damn right that's a tough building to make.